I got the drive shaft back up here a little bit, just enough to get started, and I got the back end of it sitting on a floor jack, because the drive shaft is heavy to put it up there. And if you were watching when I took it off, the caps on these caps were supposed to be welded on here, and they had come loose, and a regular shop would not put them back on like that. They'll just sell you new U-joints. The U-joint's fine, but I gotta find where it fits this cap the best, and that's it right in there. So I have to find where it fits the best by rotating it in there until it drops in, and it feels like that's where it was before it broke. Well, it'd be a lot of work for me to take these seals out, take the seal out here, the grease seal, take all the needles out, clean the thing out, and then try to weld the cap back on. I don't want to do all that, so I'm just going to find its place and then hold it there. I could have glued it in with something, but I didn't. Then I just got to hold it there and then push it in to that position. I don't know if I got enough to get a thread started or not. Not really. There. You know, you got to look for the knob on that U-joint and make sure that it is in the center of the hole so that that cap will go on it. And I was trying to roll off of the jack back here because it's heavy. Now, I'm going to come back to the back end and I'm going to rotate this thing half a turn and do the same thing on the other end. Push this thing to where this piece right here is in the center of the hole. Then I gotta make sure this one is in its best seated place. And I think I found it right there. Like I said, most shops would just go on ahead and replace that U-joint. But this U-joint was not showing any wear. The one on the other end of the shaft did show some wear, and I am going to put a new one in there. I'm having trouble getting my carrier bearing started up here, so these bolts that just hang through this spacer up here, I had to hang a couple of small vice grips, one on each bolt, so that I can, at least the bolts are long enough. Now I didn't clamp it tight enough to damage the threads. The bolts are long enough that I can get that on there like that, and hopefully, let's see if I can get it started now, because the bolts fell out of there and I was dropping stuff, because this drive shaft is heavy. And let's see if I can get it to line up this time. At least I can get this one. Okay, I got a couple threads there. Now I can let go of it. Rest my arm a second. And then over here and do the one on this side. The vice grips also help keep the bolts from turning while I'm tightening the nuts down. There. I'll center that. And then go on ahead and tighten those down. We got our new U-joint kit here. They come in a little tray like this, and you gotta watch on U-joints, because people can return these things. They can drop it and one of the needle bearings will roll out of there, pop out of there, and they don't know where it went, so they just pack it up and take it back and say they bought one too many. Yeah, it's just normal these days. People are that way, unfortunately. So you got to make sure they're all in there, especially before you throw away your old U-joint, because you may need to borrow a bearing out of the old U-joint just to fill the gap between two if one is missing, or if you drop it and lose one. So you want to check and make sure all your rollers are in each one. I already did that. I'm just showing you how to do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and put the cross up there in its place up here, and then before I put the caps on, I'm going to situate this one on the cross as well, because when the caps are on, there won't be room to move this one around to get it in position. So let's do that. I gotta move my chain. I moved it a while ago, and I gotta move it back. There. Now that we got them all in position, go ahead and start putting these caps on with whichever one is easiest to get to first. And by the way, leave your drive line in a position where you can turn it by hand. Wheels are off the ground, transmission's in neutral. Most of the time all four of these caps are going to be the same, but not always. I've seen on cars where sometimes the caps are two different sizes actually, and they only fit on one way. I was hoping I had a 9/16 socket down here with me to go on the 1/2-inch impact, but I don't. I'd have to get up and go get one, so I do have one to put on a ratchet though. Now I'm going to snug these down with an impact a little more, but if I forgot to, I could still drive like this. It ain't going to come off. Now the only thing left to do is grease it. You see I got a grease fitting right here for the slip yoke, because this yoke moves in and out as the differential bounces up and down. This will go in and out a little bit, and it also gives you room to slide this back to change your U-joint like I just did. And you've got a grease fitting, usually top and bottom, one on each side, or one on two sides. There's 4 sides. So you got one here, and then there's one just opposite that. And you don't have to grease through both fittings. It's just whichever one you can get to. But what you do need to see is the grease coming out of all 4, whatever you call these ends of the U-joint. Is the grease coming out of all of them? You want to see that, and if it's not, then you may need to rotate it a little bit, let it have a different angle. It does, because putting the grease in here or the other one doesn't make any difference, because it's both going right into the center of this thing, which is a hollow area. So it doesn't matter which one you go through. Going to another one's not going to make it any different unless for some reason one of these is clogged and it's not letting the grease in. Alright, so much for changing a U-joint. Don't forget to grease it till it comes out all 4.